first time in all of human history, mankind is politically awakened. That's a total new reality.
I've got one that can see.
Unfortunately, you've grown up hearing voices that incessantly warn of government as nothing more than some separate, sinister entity that's in the root of all.
You start getting frightened of it. Have faith in our leaders. We're optimistic as to what becomes of it all. It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism.
I have two words for you. Predator drones.
We'll capture.
You will never see it come.
And materialize itself.
Who uses a Second Amendment weapon to bring a drone down that's been hovering over his house is going to be a folk hero.
There is a set broadcast every second of every day through our television sets.
All I ever have to do is be famous. People watch me, and they love me.
You can have a little taste of the good life too. Now I know you want it. Hell, everybody does. Do it to your own kind. What's the threat? We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team.
The real men of the world have to stand up and say, I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Greetings, citizens of an indoctrinated truth. Welcome to Deep-state Dox 35. First, here's a quick overview of how the Cabal works from an exposed Bilderberg document.
And you see ads everywhere for it. But they use this, like they as in the deep state, use this for population control. They know exactly how the public will respond to any situation.
They want to gain complete control over us and, to quote the document, quote, keep the public undisciplined and ignorant of the basic system principles on the one hand, while keeping them confused, disorganized, and distracted with matters of no real importance on the other hand, unquote.
Again, so this is so they can do things behind the scenes while no one is really noticing, because we are all too focused on being distracted with self-indulgence and mental and emotional rape by a constant barrage of like sex, violence, media talking about wars, and keeping us in a state of fear with terrorist attacks. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, right? They call this junk food for thought. They can easily shift our thinking to whatever it is they want us to think.
There are three ways that they do this. One is the media, which is used to create divisions with the goal to keep the public attention away from the real issues. So they keep you focused on what the latest scandal with the Kardashians are, so you don't see the real news behind it. Schools are another. They don't teach us real economics, real law, even real history, and instead instill in us ideas of socialism and communism.
Now with entertainment, it says keep us below a 6th grade level. An example from like our understanding with this would be like take the arts. Modernist style artwork or paintings or something just thrown on a canvas with like zero technique that Michelangelo and Leonardo would all, like the great painters, would just call trash.
We have also enough hints to explain this year's 66th Bilderberg meeting, held over 7th to 10th of June the 20th to the 18th in the Torino Lingotto Congress Hotel in Turin, Italy. John Elkahn Chairing Fiat, representing the constant Angelli family of Fiat and the Angelli Hotels. The Agnelli family holding company Exor, and the Giovanni Agnelli Foundation, board member of the Economist Group, and a member of the Bilderberg Steering Committee working with the war criminal Henry Kissinger. And they too were met with closely conferring Alex Karp, billionaire CEO of Palantir Technologies. Palantir Technology is the pre-crime operation straight out of Minority Report, and their latest work has been to file biometric data to predict more nuanced activity.
And they've got all these big tech firms there, Eric Schmidt from Google, you've got just all kinds of people, Jeff Bezos from Amazon.com, and this guy attending for the first time, Alex Karp, founder and CEO of CI-funded Palantir Technologies. And this company is admittedly CIA funded. They got $2 million at their startup from NQTEL, which is the basically funding and research arm of the CIA. And he founded this company alongside the PayPal founder, Peter Thiel, who's a big key figure at Bilderberg meetings. And he's been going every year for the past several years. He's on the steering committee. And so this company, Palantir, founded by Alex Karp, who's the director of it, as well as by Thiel from Silicon Valley, is a big crossover between corporations and government spying. It says here, geeks versus terrorists. Palantir Technologies, a little-known software company started in Silicon Valley, has quietly become one of the most important companies in Washington. Why? Because maybe they figured out a way to stop the next terrorist attack. Well, if you believe that, you're just plain naive.
They then met Thomas Enders, CEO of Airbus and member of the German Industry Association, and Swedish banker Marcus Wallenberg, chairman of Skandinaviska Inskuldabanken and of Saab, and grandson of Marcus Wallenberg Jr. This is the family runs mind control behind their big pharma front.
The technology came to be known as biomedical telemetry. Other terms were biocybernetics, brain-computer technology, or man-system interaction, which is the Swedish state's name for his technology. Already in the 1950s, a half-century ago, this extensive research program was organized behind the defense research, and that functioned as knowledge bank, innovator, made evaluations, trained doctors and professors to develop the project. The military research has now changed its name to FOI and states in its annual report of 2011 that their goal is to control man's cognitive functions during the individual's whole lifetime.
They set forth with an agenda, add a bunch of political and ecclesiastical heads to direct the populace. They also combined agenda laid by Stoltenberg, having an in-depth conversation during Bilderberg drinks with Goldman Sachs chairman Jose M. Durão Barroso and the Estonian Prime Minister. An overlooked truth is that NATO is the enforcement arm of the banksters directly.
The link in the transatlantic economy, I mean, this is the most vital economic relationship still in the world, and it's fundamental that it should remain healthy and strong. At this time, the United States is also vulnerable to further financial instabilities in Europe. So if we see a number of the countries that have been in the headlines, if they should experience further difficulties and we see more banking losses, more bailouts, then this could be difficult for the US. If Europe gets a bad cold now, then this will certainly cause the United States to start.
James Baker, director of the Office of Net Assessment from the U.S. Department of Defense and former Deputy National Security Advisor Nadia Shodlo, also a 2017 participant, come to get policy orders, which is the biggest problem with the Bilderbergs. The policy making is bereft of representation. The media heads shows up as well to spin a propaganda for the year, yet they have no allowance to report anything about the actual meeting.
First, unfortunately, some members of the unique platforms push their own personal bias and agenda control exactly what people think.
Having agenda and lackeys in order, the keynote by Bilderberg chairman de Castries follows with gaining control over populists' movements. Renate Cocker, managing director of the Allensbach Institute for Public Opinion Research, then explains how to control the populist populace based on marketing research.
The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind, who harness old social forces and contrive new ways to bind and guide the world. This passage
Public opinion research, a German opinion and market research institute recently described Bilderberg as one of the most influential institutions. Particularly they are focused on stopping the Germany's right-wing Alternative for Germany, AfD, party on closing border because nationalism weakens corporatism. It should also be noted that Angela Merkel is a Bilderberg. Here are a few words from the AfD leader suggesting the type of thinking they seek to stop.
Millionen davon, die reichliche Hälfte, sind berufstätig im weitesten Sinne. 27 Millionen zahlen mehr Steuern an den Staat. Alle anderen leben von diesen Steuern. Zieht man jetzt noch diejenigen ab, die zwar Steuern zahlen, aber auch aus Steuermitteln bezahlt werden, Beamte, Soldaten, Politiker, Lehrer, bleiben 15 Millionen wirkliche Steuerzahler übrig. Diese kleine Gruppe trägt den gesamten Gesellschaftsaufbau und diesen Haushalt. Leider wird sie immer kleiner, weil jährlich etwa 140.000 Hochkompetente, wie sie der Migrationsforscher Gunnar Heinsohn nennt, dieses Land verlassen und im Gegenzug nach derzeitigem Stand um die 200.000 sogenannte Flüchtlinge hereinkommen, von denen nicht nur kaum einer hochkompetent ist, sondern viele Analphabeten sind. In Deutschland, meine Damen und Herren, lebt bereits eine große soziale Unterschicht, in der fast 8 Millionen entweder keine Arbeit haben oder nicht sozialversicherungspflichtig beschäftigt sind.
And to deal with populists movements you need a rigged system, which Damiso Moyo, an economist, author, and Barclays director, in her latest book Edge of Chaos, Why Democracy is Failing to Deliver Growth, lays out.
So we're talking with Dr. Martin Gilens, professor of politics at Princeton University and co-author of this brilliant new study, Testing Theories of American Politics. So you looked at the preferences of the economic elites, the top 90th percentile and above income group, of special interest groups, and of average citizens with regard to each one of these three groups with regard to over roughly 2,000 individual policy prescriptions, attempted legislation over the past 20 some odd, almost 30 years.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, to recap. And what did you find?
Well, we found that economic elites and interest groups have a substantial influence over government policymaking, but that ordinary citizens have essentially nothing.
Moyo had made the controversial argument that weighted voting by those of more influence could overtake any populism. London School of Economics professor and frequent Bilderberg attendee Anne Applebaum, who, citing Greece's experience of populist government, has argued that the only cure for populist rhetoric is the bitter, personal experience of its failure. So to push propaganda that the madness of the populace needs to be put in the hands of the more educated, wise and of course elite.
Means rule of the few. An oligarchy is a form of power structure in which power rests with a small number of people, and these people might be distinguished by nobility, have family ties, similar education, or simply religious or military control.
Then Cardinal Parolin filled in social doctrine of the church. Basically how to remain an elitist, giving people the experience of being important, followed by a question and answer session. This speech had been very well received. One of the best ways of appealing to the populace is to keep wealth and property. By doing so, the lavish Vatican elite have nonetheless been reported by Forbes to be broke.
While labor costs are high, the Vatican maintains that its top members still work for peanuts. The Vatican's top brass, however, still work for peanuts. Some cardinals make as little as $20,000 a year, and 30 Jesuits in top posts at Radio Vatican voluntarily accept the same salaries as janitors, about $11,000. Cardinals do get lavish perks, including sumptuous apartments at bargain rents. He church and the spiritual capital of its members, took in $57.3 million from sources as diverse as fees for ceremonies, income from publications, newspaper ads, and the sale of videocassettes, and surprisingly modest investment earnings of $18 million. With investments of some $500 million, the Vatican commands fewer financial resources than many U.S. universities. This is hard to fathom when you consider the sheer material extravagance held within the property itself, which features thousands of priceless works of art and gold. The Vatican is composed of two major entities, Vatican City-State and the Holy See. As estimated by Forbes, Vatican wealth is nominal, merely in the hundreds of millions when factoring in the entity's investments and various funds. The Vatican comprises two separate administrations, the City-State and the Holy See. The Vatican City-State, a 108.7-acre enclave within the city of Rome, the last remnant of the once powerful papal states, is thriving financially. Its government provides municipal services for the world's smallest sovereign nation. The city-state also maintains the Vatican Museum and runs a 200-man security force featuring a platoon of spear-carrying Swiss Guards.
Art has long been a ridiculously overpriced market, allowing elitists to write off immediate liquid assets. The Rothschilds have mastered this act, and you'll never find a Rothschild listed among the richest officially. From that position, the Vaticans can decry the fight against poverty would require action against unfair economic systems and uncontrolled financial institutions, thereby seizing libertarian capitalism into an ecclesiastic corporatism.
Jeffrey is here to talk to us today about Pope Francis's recent comments attacking libertarianism. In late April, the Pope, in an address to the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences, stated that libertarians are radically selfish and deny the common good.
And so far we've just explained little more than part 1 of the 12-session Turin Bilderberg meeting. We're not Jesus. Nor do we have Alzheimer's. Expect us